and welcome. This is for athletes, most importantly, former athletes who know they are not beginners, but they do not know what the hell they're supposed to be doing anymore when it comes to fitness, nutrition, performance, etc. We're going to be talking all about training, athlete identity, what to stop doing, and what to double down on. And I'm not filtering it. If you were never an athlete, this probably isn't for you. Or maybe you are an athlete right now and consider yourself one. For example, I wasn't an athlete in college. I was an athletic trainer. I was still working very closely with athletes, but I made up for it in my adult years post college when I was competing in powerlifting and bodybuilding, which I don't do anymore. So I would consider myself a former athlete, but also still an athlete because I show up and I train hard. Regardless, whether you were a former athlete, whether you're an athlete now, but your identity has always been in that athlete mindset, this is for you. Maybe you miss that version of yourself, and I'm glad you're here. This is unfiltered as fuck. All right. This is real. We're going to be talking about how to train like an athlete now, how to eat for the athlete that you want to become now, how to step into her now. We're going to talk with former D1, D2, D3 athletes who were really successful. We're going to get raw and real with their stories. I'm going to be giving you some actionable tools that you can apply to yourself right now so you can stop feeling overwhelmed as fuck. Let's dive in. This is what I hear all the time. I want to feel like an athlete again. I want to look athletic. I want to move well. I want to train hard. But I'm overwhelmed because what I used to do doesn't work anymore. No shit. You're right. What you did when you were 18, 19, 20, 21 is not going to work when you're 28, 29, 30, 31 and above and beyond. It's important to realize that that training program, that training methodology is not going to actually work for you right now. So many women think that they can just pick up where they left off. And because they can't, they feel like something is wrong with them and something is wrong with their body. When you are in your 30s, so I'm 34, you have to train with way more intention. Gone are the days where you can just go do 2 days in the gym, train hard as fuck, and eat feral and have a banging body. Metabolism doesn't just magically slow down when you're 30, but things do physiologically happen where we just have to be way more intentful with our training, with our nutrition, which we will get into here. That we're going to get into nutrition on the later shows. I only had 1 cup of coffee this morning. I'm usually a twofer kind of gal, but I had one this morning and I'm about to hit record. I'm like, I didn't have my second coffee. So maybe I physically don't need it, but mentally I do. You know what I mean? It's like my emotional support coffee. I'm a hot coffee gal. I am not a cold coffee girl because if I'm putting a cold coffee on my desk, the condensation, absolutely not. Not for me. I do not want my hands to be wet. So I'm a hot coffee girl. So let's get back to the point. Okay. Let's normalize this. We do not need to be training for 3 to 4 hours a day anymore. We do not need to be training for 6, 7 days a week. And like I said, we don't need to just be eating for a 20-year-old, but that doesn't mean that you fell off. You're just not driving the right car. You're not driving the right wagon. So you're falling off that shit because it doesn't fit you anymore. You don't fit in that wagon anymore. And it's not because you're not a hard worker. You are a hard ass worker. You probably own a business. You probably have kids. You probably work really hard at your job. You probably train hard. So it's not for the fact of you aren't a hard worker and you are not disciplined. You have no structure. You are left to your own devices. And as former athletes, that is the number one recipe for not being on our shit. I don't want to say fail because failing is just failing is opportunity and a learning lesson. You only fail when you give up. You only fail when you're like, oh, fuck this. I'm just going to be out of shape forever. You're probably not listening to the podcast if you feel that way. You didn't lose discipline. You just lost structure. You don't have anything to be disciplined for. Things that we are no longer doing anymore. We are not just working out to break a sweat. We are not working out to be crawling out of the gym, puking, whatever. We're not killing ourselves anymore. There's no need for that. That actually can worsen performance and it can actually make you look worse. We train with purpose now. We fuel so we can recover, so we can train hard, and we execute the boring shit extremely well. This is where a lot of former athletes miss the boat because they want to be entertained again. And hate to tell you, the classes and the random workouts, it's fun. It's not going to move the needle forward in your physique that you actually want. So let's talk about the 4 principles that you need to adopt in your training right now as a former athlete in your 30s, maybe even your late 20s. Fewer days, better sessions. You do not need to be training to max failure every single day. You don't need to be crawling out of the gym every single day. 3 to 5 intentional training days are light years better than 6 to 7 chaotic, half-assed training days. The quality of your training matters now more than ever. Principle 2, strength is the anchor. Did you know? And so I'm going to talk muscle mass for a second, but it does coincide with strength. Did you know that we lose about 1% of our muscle mass every single year when we turn 30 if we are not properly strength training? Wild. Kind of the old saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. That's very true once you hit your 30s. So people think, oh, there's something fucking wrong with me. No, you're just doing Orange Theory and you're not weight training and you're not setting your future self up for success. Because also, strength training, the adaptations that you get with strength training also prevents bone disease. More muscle, less problems. If you have more muscle, you become more metabolically expensive. You're able to eat a little bit more. Your maintenance calories are a little bit high. That's a whole other topic that I am excited to dive into. But just remember now, strength is your anchor. Strength training is crucial. It is important. It is the number one thing that matters in your 30s. But you know that. I mean, you like strength training. I don't talk to many former athletes who are like, fuck that, I don't want to strength train. No, you're here because you want to strength train. You just don't know how without a strength coach telling you exactly what to do. That's why, you need a strength coach when you were in your 30s wanting to get back into your best athletic shape. It makes sense, right? So I'm not telling you something that you don't already know. You know that strength training is important. You know that you want to do it again. You just need like the proper structure is all. But just remember that that is your anchor. Optional. Athletic bodies are built on strength. And that's principle number 3. It's not about the calories you burn. Please stop looking at your wearables as the Bible of like, I burned 423 calories today, so I can have that much to eat. Or, man, that's a good workout. That means I got better. No, it doesn't. First of all, they've done so much research, and wearables, notably Apple Watch, can be up to 25% inaccurate when it comes to calories burned. There are companies that quite literally make their business model off of how many calories you're burning per session. And I just think it's complete bullshit. It's just not accurate. The thing that we can control, though, are things like our input, are things like our effort, frequency. Those are the things that we should be tracking on a baseline. So I do not care about how many calories you burn in a workout. I never have, never will. Your athletic physique doesn't either. So principle number 4 is about recovery because we can only train as hard as we can recover. Sleep, food, stress management, again, are not optional. Sleep is very important. Stress management is really important. And training is a stressor on the body. It's a good stress, but it is a stressor on the body. Things like physiological stress, psychological stress, it all compounds and adds up. So managing it the best way that you can is really, really important. Food, if you are consistently not supplying your body with enough nutrients, macronutrients or micronutrients, or calories in general, it all kind of goes together, then your body is going to be like, what the actual fuck am I supposed to do with this? And you might be super plateaued. That could show up as looking puffy. It could show up as not putting on any muscle mass. And you're like, well, what gives? I'm training hard, but your body is quite literally saying, no, I'm good. Bam, I'm going to chill here. You're eating maybe enough just to survive. Whenever I'm off my game, whenever I'm off my ship for whatever reason, these questions ground me every single time. They ground me every single time because it's not enough to have the goals. Everybody has goals. That's great. We have to do a complete identity shift. And you want to become an athlete, right? You want to get your athlete identity back. You guessed it. Then you have to start acting like an athlete, thinking like an athlete, making decisions like an athlete. Do you think an athlete scrolls on TikTok for 2 hours, or do you think that they have a very strict bedtime routine so that way they can wake up early and get their shit done? Probably the latter. What does an athlete prioritize? What do they say What are some athletic phrases that they say to themselves? So whenever I'm off my shit or any of my athletes are off their shit, hey, are you aligning with the identity that you want to consistently achieve and be at? And if the answer is no, it's a very simple shift. But what is simple isn't always easy. So let's break it down simply. If you want to start putting this into practice, a very simple tool that you can use is the this or this. Simple. You wake up in the morning. Do you scroll on your phone for 20 minutes, then rush out of bed? Or do you not look at your phone, immediately go in, get your skincare done, get up for the day, change your clothes? Which is the more athletic response? Boom, get up, get your shit ready for the day. You can just start to make these very simple decisions that are, okay, this or this. When I think of an athlete and when I think of my highest self, and I would consider myself an athlete, a high performing athlete when I'm at my highest self. I can see it clearly. I wake up, I don't look at my phone. I immediately do my skincare. My clothes are set out the day before, and I just put them on and I immediately go out, take my dog for a 10, 20-minute walk when she wants to walk. That's a whole other issue. Then I come back in, I have my coffee, I have my breakfast, I do some light journaling, I do some light reading, let my food digest. I go to the gym, I train hard, I come back, I immediately drink a protein shake. I'm taking my vitamins, maybe I'm making breakfast, and then I get ready for the day. And then anything after that, it's so aligned because I spent my morning as an athlete and I've set up my day for success. Maybe for you, if you have to train in the evening, it looks a little bit different. You still should have a morning anchor of some regard. Maybe it is getting out for a walk. Maybe you have a treadmill inside because you wake up at 5 a.m. and it's dark and you don't want to walk outside. Or maybe you just go walk outside anyways. Like, you're going to be fine. Make the decision, this or this. What would an athlete make? And when you can start just making the next best decision, you are going to see that add up. So we have our 4 principles of training, how our training needs to go in our 30s. Less random frequency and more quality sessions that are less. So three to 5 times a week is all you need, an hour a session. That's it. Strength training is your anchor. Everything else, classes, running, it's all great. It's meant to support your strength training. Number 3, we're not tracking calories burned. We are training hard and we are working on getting better each and every session. When I say better, I mean we're getting stronger. We're being more efficient with our lifts. We have better technique. And then we recover hard because you can only train as hard as you can recover. Getting sleep under control, getting stress managed. We don't get away from stress. We all have stress. That is so dumb. Like, how can you lower your stress? Sometimes you're just stressed. Okay. That's what happens when you're a high performing athlete. You got a lot going on. The reason why you're a high performer, it's probably because you have a lot of stress in your life. But can we compartmentalize it? And then for me, what I just think is the golden standard is making decisions like an athlete would make. So I hope you liked this first show. I think we're going to have some fun, guys. I think we're going to have lots of fun. We're going to have some great guests. We're going to have some great unfiltered topics. I want you to be like, holy fuck, she's saying exactly what I'm thinking, because there's too many of you guys out there who feel very alone in the thoughts that you have about feeling like a failure because you can't do what you used to do 10 years ago. And I promise you, you're not a failure. You just need better decision making. You need better structure. You need a plan. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk all about training, all about structure. We're going to get into gut health. We're going to get into hormones, because that's shit that you didn't have to deal with 10 years ago. And now they're here. Like, hello. Now there's a whole other mess of shit that we have to figure out. And you're like, I can't even deal with you right now. I'm just trying to survive the day. So we're going to talk about that stuff too. Obviously, nutrition. My goal is to help you get your shit together. And hopefully this will be the reframe that you have been craving, that you have been looking for. And we're going to get better together. We're going to rebuild your athlete identity together. And I'm going to give you a lot of insights from my own personal experience. We're going to bring on other athletes and hear their stories. So if this resonates, subscribe. We're in this together. Thanks for checking in with me, and I'll see you next time.